Modern life. Between careers, kids, and health, it can be mayhem. That's why we're here. I'm Dr. Lisa Varghese Kroll.
And I'm Dr. Lanre Falusi. We're physicians, moms, and longtime friends who break it all down for you. Wondering how to juggle all the balls and still stay sane? Looking for advice but don't want to be overwhelmed?
Curious about how to make the most out of life for your family but enjoy it at the same time? You're in the right place. Welcome to Health and Home with the Hippocratic hosts. On this episode, we're talking travel. After years of pandemic lockdowns and border closures, the world's appetite for travel is bigger than ever. Are you itching to fit more travel into your life? Wondering how to make traveling with kids easier? And determined to see the world around you while also protecting our planet? Keep listening for tips on all that and more. Hey, Lon.
Hey, Lise. How's it going?
Good.
Hard to believe spring break already is on the horizon.
Oh my gosh.
I know a lot of people are thinking about getting out of town, right?
I know, it's hard to believe, but you're right. It's coming up. I mean, especially after so many of us couldn't travel for 1, 2, 3 years due to the pandemic.
Yep.
I mean, we all remember, right? Flights were grounded, borders were closed. Some countries required mandatory quarantines for travelers.
Yeah.
And then, many countries required COVID vaccines, but it wasn't yet available for kids under 5. So you were out of luck if you had one of those in your family.
Exactly. Or you just leave them at home, which
Right.
I'll neither confirm nor deny if we did that. But seriously, though, even after the pediatric vaccine was released and some of those other restrictions were loosened, then came revenge travel, right? Demand started soaring, and then it became much harder to get a ticket to anything, really.
Right. And even if you did manage to snag that flight or hotel room, high demand and inflation meant that prices are now through the roof.
Yeah, right. And the pandemic isn't over, but most governmental mask mandates are. So travel comes with additional health risks that we didn't have to think about in the past.
I know. All right. So with all that, we've made such an eloquent case for travel. Why travel at all? Well, we are glad you asked, friends. Because, of course, travel can be fun and exciting. If you're traveling to see friends or family, it also allows you to spend time with loved ones. Usually travel is getting you out of your routine to do something different. But did you know that studies show that travel can actually reduce your risk of heart disease and your risk of depression?
Amazing.
So on top of all those other benefits, right? It's actually good for your body. So we'll link to a couple of those studies in our show notes at hippocratichosts.com. Taking vacations and having a change of scenery can do wonders for your mental health. In fact, I found this really interesting. The mental health crisis that followed COVID-19 is thought to be due in part to the fact that travel was limited.
Oh, wow. I can imagine. If people feel like they can't sort of get out and change their scenery, change their routine.
Right.
Yeah. And travel, it doesn't have to be, exotic luxury excursions to the other side of the world. Although, if that is what you're planning, Lisa and I, we're available to join you. We don't even need to check our calendars. We're sure we're free.
Yeah. Whatever the date. We're clear.
We're there.
Don't you worry.
But really, even just window shopping in a nearby town, or spending a day hiking in a nearby park, or going to a museum in your city, spending a weekend visiting a family member who lives somewhere else, like these can all count as travel and as very welcome breaks from the daily grind.
Here. I mean, the thing that I value the most about travel is just that it opens your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it can be so easy to be lulled into believing that the way we do things is the only way to do things, right? But when you see other people, whether that's, other cultures in foreign countries, or even just people in other states or provinces, it's the surest way to realize that there are many different ways of doing things, and frankly, ours may not automatically be the best way.
I mean, mine is, but maybe not. Maybe not
Right,
collectively
exactly.
ours.
Doing it Lanre's way still requires travel for the rest of us.
Exactly. No, but really, experiencing other cultures is just fun, right? One thing that Lisa, you and I both love to do is bring home new ingredients to cook with that we never would have tasted otherwise.
Totally. I still remember when we were roommates in med school and you brought home beignet mix from New
Oh,
Orleans.
that was
And we
so
feasted on those.
good. Yes.
For weeks. And bonus, I mean, doing that prolongs your vacation even after you get home.
Yeah, exactly. And for kids too, there's no denying that travel is an amazing experience for kids. Allowing them to see other cities, get out in nature, immerse themselves in other cultures or languages. This is invaluable for raising kids who are open-minded, creative, empathetic, and who then will become adults who care about people all over the world too.
So true. And, even just on a practical level, travel develops important skills in kids. Things like map
Mhm.
reading, problem solving, confidence, and independence. If you
Right.
can help your kids develop the ability to rely on themselves to navigate the basics of a new place, no matter where in the world they go, like what a great gift to give them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, we also want to make sure to acknowledge that while we firmly believe that travel does not have to be excessive, it is a tremendous privilege to be able to travel in any form, right?
Absolutely.
To have the resources to do so, the legal and political freedom to do so, even the physical ability to do so. These are all real blessings that we need to be grateful for every day and share whenever possible.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. So, some people are born into traveling families and have been doing it all their lives, but other people might just be starting to dip a toe into the world of travel. So, if that's you, you might be wondering where to even get started. I mean, how do you decide where to go, what destination to save up for? I know, Lon, that you and I have both known people with all sorts of different philosophies on this. I've known people who wanted to see all the U.S. national parks before they die. Some people want to research their heritage, right? And visit the homeland of their ancestors. That's pretty
Mhm.
common. Some people try to hit all the Major League Baseball stadiums.
Mhm.
Some people want to roam all over Europe. Some people want to save all their vacation days for the beach. My secret pipe dream, if I win the lottery, is to see all 7 continents one day.
Oh, that would be amazing. And a great thing to ask yourself is what dream gets you the most excited? Travel should be fun and something you look forward to. Are you someone who will have more fun at Disney World or on a leisurely road trip to see autumn leaves? Do you want a ton of action or to just lie face down on a towel for 3 days? Do you want to travel with others? Or do you want to fly solo? Just answering a few basic questions about yourself will help narrow down your possibilities.
Absolutely. And also ask around. Recommendations from people that you actually know, like outside of a
Hmm.
computer screen, recommendations for hotels, activities, travel agents, or the destinations themselves, those are priceless.
Oh, definitely. So maybe you've decided to pursue some travel and you've even decided where you want to go. But you're wondering, Lonray and Lisa, do you have some tips for making travel easier, making getting out and about less daunting?
Is water wet? Is the sky blue?
Is chocolate a food group?
We think we've made our point.
Yeah,
Of
of
course,
course.
we have such tips. We have a whole bunch of travel tips, in fact, to help you make the most of wherever you get to go. Okay, so friends, rapid fire, here we go.
All right. So first, when you plan your itinerary, keep in mind whether the goal of your trip is leisure, a family event, an educational experience, etc. If you're traveling with kids, really try not to overplan so you don't end up with exhausted little crankbots. And also not over planning leaves room for spontaneity. So if you see something unexpected you want to explore or suddenly decide that you want to get ice cream, you have that room for that.
Very important.
Oh, critical.
Yeah.
Critical.
I would hate anything to crowd out ice cream.
Exactly.
And if you're traveling with your kids, talk about your plans and show them pictures on the internet well in advance to start getting them excited. We firmly believe that anticipation is half the joy of any good experience in life.
And lots of people have places they like going to again and again. But for once in a lifetime destinations, give yourself plenty of time to read up on the most famous sites and decide which are both the most important and the most doable for you and your group if you're traveling with a group. This helps with planning the most efficient routes so you don't tire out. And if you let the rest go, it helps with FOMO, right? Just
So
decide that
true.
you just can't do it all. So one of the ways that we like to decide what to do and what to skip is to determine what could only be seen at your intended destination. A
Mm.
bounce house? Well, we love bounce houses. We have them where we live, right? The Louvre? Guess what? We don't have any of those in our neighborhood. So that activity wins if you're going to Paris, right? Now, are we saying that you should never go to a bounce house on vacation? Absolutely not. If that's what really makes your family the happiest, then by all means do that. But if you can't do everything, this can be a very helpful way to make decisions.
That's so true because it's pretty rare that you can do everything.
Exactly,
You're
right.
pretty much going to have to edit.
Right, right.
So that can help. Now, if you're researching flights or train tickets online and you notice that prices seem to be rising every time you refresh your search,
Mhm.
try using an incognito browser. There are some experts who believe that airlines track your internet activity and artificially raise their prices when you search for flights in order to make you panic and pull the trigger on buying before prices rise any higher.
Ugh.
Now, it's controversial, because there are also many experts who say this doesn't happen. But if you're noticing that online prices for your desired trip do seem to be soaring, just try pulling up an incognito browser and see if it makes a difference. It can't hurt, and it might save you some dough.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt at all. And so now, let's say you decided you're going to travel, you've booked your flight or hotel or other experiences. Let's talk about keeping all of that organized. So you can have, your like 18 different emails that you have to search for to figure out, what that like confirmation number was. Or you can use a handy dandy app. There is an app for that. My favorite is TripIt. And what I love about TripIt is that you can forward those confirmation emails to this one email, like plans@tripit.com. And you set up your account so that then everything that you forward goes into the app. So when you open up the app a couple minutes later, there is your flight and your hotel or whatever you forwarded. And it's all very neatly organized. And Lisa and I laugh about this. Like, we love travel apps because once we've booked, flights and hotel experiences and put them all into whatever app it is that we're using, I literally like sit there weeks before the trip and just like scroll through the itinerary.
Oh,
Like, oh,
totally. Yes.
and on day 4, we're going to go snorkeling. It's going to be so much fun. And on day
It's
5,
just 25 days and 6 hours from now.
But it also builds the anticipation and
It
the
does.
fun.
It
My
totally
husband thinks
does.
I'm a little crazy, but it's just really, like you get excited.
They thought that anyway.
Yeah,
We can't blame it on
exactly.
TripIt. I mean, whatevs. Might as well enjoy TripIt.
Exactly, which I do, I tell you. So if you ever are
I
on
do
like
too.
a Zoom call with me and I'm scrolling and smiling, that's probably what I'm looking at.
I totally agree. I love TripIt too. One thing I really like is that it's very smart technology, so you don't have to tell
Mhm.
the app anything. You just forward the email and it figures out
Exactly.
that's a flight. Oh,
Love
that's a
that.
restaurant reservation, whatever it is, and organizes it
Exactly.
accordingly.
So smart.
Another it so is. And I mean, that's one of the fun things about traveling in the modern age. We might as well take advantage of the apps that work, right? That work well.
Yes.
So one that I love is Citymapper. And Citymapper is available for, I think, 120 cities around the world and counting. But what it is it's an app that helps you determine the best route from one location in a city to another in
Mm.
real time. So let's say you're in New York City and you want to go from Times Square to Central Park. You would enter it into the Citymapper app and it tells you this is the subway route that we would normally recommend, but right now there's a closure on the line. So actually, we recommend that you take this bus and walk 2 blocks from there, or take this other line. It gives you multiple options, every different form of transportation you can imagine, from ferries to mopeds.
Oh, wow.
So you can tell it how you want to travel. Yeah. But it's so useful. And if you keep the app open, it will update in real time. So if, police have closed down a street while you're walking there, it will change your route while you're doing it. So I love it.
Oh, that's
Very
so
useful.
great.
You don't have to. It's so great. You don't have to download like a metro map for every city that you're visiting.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all in there. So that's
Oh,
great.
that's great. Yeah, so it keeps you from getting lost and wasting time and all of that. I think
Exactly.
that's so awesome. And some more tips. If you're traveling with kids, have them pack their own bags. Having their
Yes.
own dedicated luggage or backpacks really makes this more fun too. And right, the more they do this, the more they get used to knowing exactly what a person needs away from home. So, and
Hmm.
before zipping up, you might, want to do a quick check just to make sure the essentials are there. But it only takes forgetting their favorite PJs once to help them remember forever after. And the great thing is, once they're reasonably proficient at it, it's one less thing for parents to do, which is just awesome.
Oh my gosh, hallelujah. Yes. And then next, invest in packing cubes. Okay, so social media makes it seem like every influencer in the world is now traveling with packing cubes, but it's not just a fleeting trend that Lonray and I are jumping on.
Mhm.
These things really help when it comes to packing well. Rolling up clothes and placing them in cubes, especially if they're compression cubes, it helps keeps items organized, it decreases wrinkles, and it saves room in suitcases.
Mhm.
We've all heard horror stories, right? Especially over the last couple of months about airlines losing checked luggage. So if
Yeah.
you travel with carry ons only, that's one less thing to worry about,
And one less thing to pay for.
right? And packing cubes can save so much room that you don't need to check any bags at all. Even if you're a long time overpacker like me, like I'm totally guilty of that, they
Same.
can, right? I always like, there's something you might need. You just might need
Yes,
this. But
everything.
these, they can really convert you to that minimalist packing lifestyle. And, not only will you not have to worry about your luggage getting lost because you never had to check anything in the first place, you also won't have to lug overstuffed suitcases around crowded streets, which, like, in certain parts of the world might be cobblestoned or might be made of mud,
Right.
So, like, it's one
Right.
less thing on your plate.
Yeah, it's so smart. I totally am an overpacker. And, the last trip I went to that was 36 hours, I think I packed like four pairs of shoes, like a work trip
I
for a day and a half. So
know.
yes, I actually recently invested in packing cubes and it was super smart. So I'm with you on that. And whether you're checking bags or not, buy bright or unusual luggage tags that match. These are great because you can use them for all of your luggage if you're traveling alone, or use them for everyone's luggage if you're traveling in a group. So you can easily find bags at baggage claim or at gate check or in a hotel luggage storage room. Quick tip on that, strips of the same cloth or, matching scrunchies tied around the handles can work as well.
And consider buying an anti theft backpack or purse. So, these are bags that have all sorts of cool features to keep your belongings from being stolen, such as straps with stainless steel cables inside so that pickpockets can't use blades to cut a strap and grab your bag, anti slash mesh so they can't slash the bag itself, hidden pockets, locking zippers, and ARFID blocking pockets to prevent thieves from wirelessly stealing your credit card information. These bags come in a range of styles and price points, and they can save your trip from being ruined by an enterprising crook.
hmm And whenever possible, check in online ahead of time. This means one less line to wait in at the airport. And of course, it lets airlines know that you intend to come. So they'll be less likely to give away your seat if to someone who's on standby.
In that vein, trusted traveler programs make going through security and customs a breeze. In the US, some of these programs include TSA PreCheck, which is for domestic destinations, Global Entry, which is for entry into the US from international destinations, and Nexus, which is for entry into the US from Canada. Now, these require an application and an interview for you to be pre vetted, but once accepted, you can take advantage of expedited entry into the country. And often this means special, shorter lines at airports or border crossings, not having to take off your shoes or belt, and getting through security quicker. Membership usually has to be renewed every 5 years. For our American listeners, we'll link to the official Department of Homeland Security website in our show notes for all the details. My family recently did this, and although getting interview slots for all of us was challenging during the pandemic, and although I wasn't sure what an official government interview would look like for my then 5-year-old son, it was actually very low key, and they had some expertise in Lego, so my son greatly enjoyed their scholarly
Yeah,
discussion.
of course.
It has made a huge difference in our travel experience since. I've had at least one flight that I would have missed due to a traffic jam outside the airport, but because I could run through the shorter global entry security line, I still made the plane. So it's worth its weight in gold.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah. And if you're traveling as a family, invest in different colored passport holders for each person. And these can, help to corral each person's passport, trusted traveler card, COVID vaccination card, and, whatever other documents you may need. while also making it clear which belongs to whom. So this is a lifesaver if you've ever been like me, kind of frantically scrambling at the bottom of a bag, and you have 10 minutes to make your flight. If everyone has a different color, then you're just much more organized.
And if you're parking in a garage, write down your car's location on the ticket itself or make a note in your phone. I mean, the last thing you want to do when you're arriving home, tired, mildly depressed that your vacation is over, is wander around 8 levels of a parking garage looking for your car while dragging all your bags and possibly some cranky kids behind you.
Yeah, definitely. I sometimes take a photo of where my car is and try to get like the sign or the post of whatever row I'm in within the
Totally,
photo. Yeah, otherwise it's so easy to forget. And then speaking of taking photos, we definitely encourage you to take photos of all of your important documents and keep them on your phone and in your email account. This will help save you from being stranded if your physical copies or your phone gets lost or if they're stolen. If you're in another country and lose your passport, having a photo of it will make things significantly less painful if you have to go to the local embassy to request a new one.
And if you're going to see loved ones far away and you want to bring them gifts, either buy them once you reach your destination or ship them ahead of time. There's no sense wasting money to check them in your luggage and then risking your gifts getting broken or lost during transit.
Yeah, and then make sure also that you're, physically able to lift your carry-on into overhead compartments because unfortunately, you can't count on able and willing strangers being available to help. And even, I didn't know this, but even some flight attendant unions won't allow them to assist you sometimes. So if your bag is too heavy for you, maybe edit what you're packing so that you can be sure that you can lift it yourself.
And now that nearly all airplane seats cost extra, it's probably worth it to pay ahead of time for kids in your party to sit with at least one of the adults, rather than counting on strangers being willing to switch before takeoff when they probably paid extra for their seats too.
Yeah. And if you're entering another country, check out the duty-free store. Though you can often buy gifts and alcohol at a steep discount. And very importantly, you can also get snacks for your trip.
Absolutely the most important component of any trip. I cannot travel snack-free.
No, snacks and ice cream, again.
Right.
Very critical.
And if applicable, have everyone learn a few phrases in your destination's native language. This is not only useful, but respectful, and it can really help you bond with locals when they see that you're making some effort.
And if you're crossing time zones, really try to sleep when the locals sleep. So go out into sunlight and do your best not to nap until your destination's sundown. This will help you minimize jet lag.
And it's a rare person who doesn't enjoy buying souvenirs. But many souvenirs are exorbitantly priced, they take up too much room in your luggage, they can exploit underpaid workers, and they end up being tossed or forgotten once you get home. So instead of buying random wasteful objects in the hope that they'll remind you of your trip, consider starting a specific collection. So let's say you decide you're going to collect coffee mugs. Whenever you travel, look for one perfect mug from your destination. Once you find it, you're done. And when you get home, you can add it to your collection and it'll make you smile every time you see or use it. My husband and I collect magnets and our kids collect keychains, which we display at home. And these have the bonus of being really small items that are usually pretty affordable and are easy to fit in our luggage, but we still get the fun of looking for just the right one whenever we go to a new place.
And if you're traveling by car, have an arsenal of road trip games. The license plate game is a famous one, but there are tons out there, and we'll link to a list in our show notes. If you're traveling with young kids, it can also be helpful to have a goodie bag with a small new activity each day, whether it's a coloring book or a toy car, that can help to break up a long trip. And these don't have to be new games, right? It can be the same ones that they've seen at home, but you just wait every couple of days to break out a new one.
And if you're going any distance away from home, consider buying travel insurance to cover your costs in case of an unforeseen event that would require you to cut your trip short or result in an emergency evacuation. And as physicians, Lana and I have to remind you to always, always have your health insurance information accessible and know your benefits.
Yes.
Most American health insurance plans will not insure you outside of the country, and many have state-specific restrictions as well. So in those cases, you will also need travel insurance to cover any medical emergencies.
And whether you're going around the world or just across town. Make it a tradition for your kids to keep a travel journal or scrapbook. Whether they write about their trip or take Polaroids or, glue in mementos, being able to reminisce is also a big part of squeezing some lasting joy out of your experiences.
Okay, so pivoting here. What should you pack? Oh man, so many blogs and books have been written about this topic.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously some of that depends on your destination. Like you're not bringing your ski jacket to Aruba, hopefully. But there are definitely some general guidelines that can make this chore a little bit easier. Firstly, packing checklists, whether they're downloaded from different sites on the internet or your own. If you don't have to keep it all in your head, you're less likely to forget something.
Pack clothing that can be mixed and matched for multiple outfits so that you don't need as much. Things like capsule wardrobes where you only bring 8 or 10 pieces, but they can be combined into 20 or 30 different outfits. These are really great and are popular for travel, and they can help you travel light.
Another thing that can help you travel light is travel soap along with a packable clothesline. This is so that you can do laundry in your hotel room. And because you can do laundry in your hotel room, you can decrease the amount of clothing you need to bring overall. Also, a travel steamer, since the quality of hotel irons isn't always reliable.
You'll be shocked that we're going to say this next one, but non-perishable snacks. Do not forget the snacks. Also, it's great to carry around an empty collapsible water bottle. That's also helpful for saving space in your bag. And wet wipes are also great.
Oh my goodness. Both of us, once we had children, we were like, we are never traveling without wet wipes again.
Yeah.
Even after our kids are in college.
Yeah.
What a genius invention.
Right.
Next up, eye masks and earplugs, especially if you're crossing time zones. Because as we said earlier, if you are trying to beat jet lag, one of the ways to do that is to stay awake when the sun is up, but it may be challenging for you to go to sleep when the sun is down. Eye masks and earplugs can help you do that.
Yeah, and definitely with kids, pack some of your favorite kids' activities. I think one of my favorite is those magnetic drawing pads.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because there's so much that you can do with that. Like they literally have one on their lap and they can like draw, they can write, you can engage with them, you can draw together. I think those are always really fun.
Totally. Boogie boards. Yeah, like play hangman. That's what we always do. So everybody can kind of be involved. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And for both adults and kids, e-readers are amazing. While I love to read, always have, and I love physical books, but for travel, oh my goodness, an e-reader like a Kindle, it lets you take thousands of books and it weighs just ounces. Regular books can't hold a candle because you can, download a million books, way more than you could ever read over your trip and never have to worry about running out of something to read.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the amount of weight you have to carry at all.
Yeah, 100% agree. And for outdoor destinations, waterproof phone cases are really helpful so you can take photos, and waterproof backpack covers are really great too, just to protect all of your stuff.
And if you take any medication, always bring extra medication in case of travel delays, like your flight getting canceled or some other wrench getting thrown in the works. And always keep this extra medication on you because temperature fluctuations in cargo holds of planes can actually affect drug potency. So the drug may not actually work that well once you get it back. And as we said earlier, checked luggage can always get lost.
And definitely bring a portable charger or a hotspot so your phone doesn't die in the middle of the day. And of course, converters for your plugged in devices if you're going to a different country. It only takes forgetting those once before remembering for every trip. You got to check, look online to see what kinds of converters you'll need. And then you can get them here. It's a lot cheaper doing that than waiting to get to your country of destination, where often they're like double or triple the price.
And then limit the valuables that you bring. If you wear a diamond wedding ring or other expensive jewelry on a regular basis, consider buying an inexpensive substitute ring to wear on your ring finger or to substitute for whatever else you wear that you can use when you travel and leave the real jewelry at home.
And bring some kind of small day pack or a crossbody purse for your day outings, so you don't have to lug your luggage or backpack around and draw attention to you being a tourist. It's like a big sign on your back with that big backpack.
And for the foreseeable future, we recommend always bringing face masks as well
Mhm.
as hand sanitizer. We are
Absolutely.
still, COVID-19 is still with us, and remaining healthy is important for everyone.
Definitely. And bring some kind of backup in case your GPS doesn't work, whether that's a paper map or a downloaded map.
Also, a few plastic bags. These take up no room. Throw them into the bottom of your suitcase. But they're invaluable for protecting the rest of your belongings from things like dirty shoes or wet clothes or a wet
Hmm.
swimsuit. And they cost almost nothing.
Oh man, talking about all of this is making me wish I was leaving on a trip.
That is my usual state of being.
Seriously. Seriously. But it's hard, it's a little hard not to feel guilty too, because the reality is that climate change is a looming threat for which we all bear responsibility.
Hmm.
And, unfortunately, travel often contributes to it. So, in an episode about travel tips, it's important to us that we be mindful of this. Eliminating travel completely is not really a good goal because many communities rely heavily on tourism dollars. And
Hmm.
of course, as we said, travel is one of the best ways to open up your mind, teach children, learn empathy, and understand the human condition. So instead, traveling smarter is a better aim. To that, we know this will be hard, but try to limit your use of private jets for one, maybe. You
Oh, you're
know,
asking so much of
I
me,
know
Juan.
it's tough, Lise. I know, but try.
Right. All we can do is try. And once you've
Yes.
achieved that challenging goal of keeping your private jet at home, another thing you can do to minimize your carbon footprint is to combine destinations. So, for example, if you're headed to Seattle and you've always wanted to see Vancouver, can you tack on a day or two and do both? You'll save a second round trip plane flight or car ride, which is good for the earth and your wallet.
And when flying, choose nonstop flights whenever possible. Not only are nonstop flights more direct routes, but planes release the most carbon during takeoff and landing. So minimizing connections is earth friendly in more than one way.
And bring that collapsible water bottle so that you can refill it instead of buying
Hmm.
new bottled water throughout your trip.
Right. And bring a coffee mug that you can refill instead of getting your daily coffee in disposable cups. Although this was paused during the pandemic, many coffee shops, including Starbucks, are again now happy to prepare your drink in your own cup.
And reduce food waste. Don't order more than you can eat. We know it can be challenging to gauge what to order when you're used to American portion sizes, but just do your best because waste is disrespectful and it's bad for the environment.
And use that do not disturb sign to ensure that your hotel room or linens are only cleaned every few days to save water. I mean, if you think about it, we don't wash our towels after every use at home or change our bed sheets every single day at home.
Right. And whenever possible, recycle or reuse. Don't just toss trash mindlessly. If you're traveling by car and recycling isn't available where you're visiting, consider bringing your recyclables home with you to recycle there.
And finally, purchase carbon offsets. So, what this means is buying a commitment from a company that they will remove a certain amount of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere, offsetting the amount of carbon your trip generated. So, we'll link in our show notes to a webpage from MIT that explains this in more detail. And if you purchase these from a trustworthy organization, this can really be a fantastic way to neutralize that negative effect of travel on our environment. And now it's time for our physician mom hack of the week.
So, this one is for parents traveling with kids. From a young age, let your kids navigate your family or group through the airport or train station and direct you on where to go. You can give them a map and do this on city streets as well. You're by their side, so they're safe, but it's invaluable experience for them to read signs, check flight times, find gate numbers, locate the restroom, look for landmarks, etc. And it gives them and you a ton of confidence for whenever they start traveling alone. You might make a couple of unexpected detours and mysteriously find yourselves at every candy shop in the vicinity, but we think you'll be surprised and impressed by how quickly kids can become proficient with this very important skill.
So that's our show. And as always, thank you so much for listening. In the meantime, for links and for more information, check out our show notes at hippocratichost.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. So follow us on all of our social media and share your favorite travel tips with us there. Also, please subscribe and review us on Apple Podcasts because that helps people like you find the show. And we might pick your review to share in an upcoming episode. For example, FlyZXCVBN said, full of practical tips from Drs. Varghese Kroll and Falusi. Great to have them discuss and guide listeners through different topics, especially during this time when information is plentiful but needs expertise to make useful. They provide such a fun way to listen and learn. Oh, thanks, FlyZXCVBN.
We love your name and we appreciate you.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Health at Home with the Hippocratic hosts. Remember that all views expressed here are our own, not our employers, and all content is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice, nor the establishment of a doctor-patient relationship. Always consult your own physician or healthcare team for any medical issues.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate us, subscribe, and tell a friend. And check out our website at www.hippocratichosts.com for show notes on this and all our episodes. Can't wait to chat with you next time.